No one has ever thought about how a child's mental state can be damaged from spending time locked up in a cell.
A second big thing to help our teens in jails is better programming. When I was on Rikers Island, a huge thing was solitary confinement. Solitary confinement was originally designed to break a person mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Ismail Nazaria talks about how important it is to learn how to deal with kids in such situations. The CEOs should be trained in such a way that they can help children and let them improve. By letting the children, they can better themselves for their future outside jail.
However, institutions need to give these correctional officers proper trainings on how to properly deal with the adolescent population. And they also need to give them proper trainings on how to deal with the mental health.
Fully developed brains, being in solitary confinement can impair their brains and views on life completely.
However, institutions need to give these correctional officers proper trainings on how to properly deal with the adolescent population. And they also need to give them proper trainings on how to deal with the mental health population as well.
Children who have committed more serious crimes should be put into juvie with a therapy program so they are not mentally damaged. The therapy sessions can help them cope and understand what has happened.
Does an 11-year-old deserve life in prison?
11-year-old Jordan Brown is accused of killing his father's pregnant fiancée with a hunting rifle. Does that mean he belongs in an adult prison with rapists, murderers, and hardened criminals?
He should go to juvie, and then when he's done with juvie, he should be transferred to a federal prison.
He should go to juvie.
I do not believe that an 11-year-old boy should be in an environment, it should be in a prison filled with adults.
I think that the little boy should go to juvie because he is too young to be in prison with all the other criminals, and he shouldn't belong there.
I do not believe he should go to prison. He should go into the juvenile correctional system.
The funeral was held Tuesday, and the facts of the case are still unfolding. But the police believe that before getting an 11-year-old named Jordan Anthony Brown shot his father's pregnant fiancée with a hunting rifle he had gotten for Christmas. But one thing is clear, an 11-year-old does not, under any circumstances, belong in an adult prison among the tough guys one sees on cable lockup shows. He may be totally innocent, he may be a good kid who made a once-in-a-lifetime mistake, or unfortunately, he may be a bad kid headed for a life of criminal entanglements. This possibility must be entertained. We learned from Lionel Tate what happens when sentences for children are too lenient. After Tate's life sentence was thrown out in 2004, he was released on probation and 1 year's house arrest. 9 months later, he was caught out of his house carrying a knife and given an additional 5 years probation. 8 months later, after that, now 18, Tate held up a pizza delivery man at gunpoint. He got 30 years for the probation violating gun possession and another 10 for holding up the delivery man.
If Mr. Tate had some sort of therapy sessions when he was in jail, maybe the chances of him becoming a criminal would have been less.
There have been many cases of children who have gone to jail and not received the right mental care that they need. This can influence how they behave later in life after being released from jail.
Children who have been released from jail without the right mental care have gone to become criminals, getting them into further trouble. Mr. Tate is a perfect example of this. After being released from jail while on probation, he went on to engage in public crimes.
Children in jail should be able to have access to a prison psychologist. A prison psychologist gets to experience both the best and worst of human nature. They regularly listen to stories of untold violence and crime. It is not always clear why some people go down a path which leads to criminal activity. Prison psychologists are needed to help inmates deal with obstacles and mental health issues which may have contributed to their past behavior.
These examples we just talked about are just a couple out of many which show why children and even adults need mental therapy. It can help them learn and become better and prepare for the better life outside of jail. You never know what is going on in a child's mind, so it's best to take the right precautions. Thank you for listening, and we hope you know how jail can mentally and emotionally hurt a child. Sorry.